Good afternoon. This is take two of my interview with Mickey Reece, whose film Country Gold had its world premiere at the end of this past week. I, of course, am Giles Edwards from 366 Weird Movies, and hello, Mickey.
Hi.
Now, kick us off. What is this on your film tally? I looked briefly at your resume, and you've directed a lot.
Well, they always say, like, I think they said like 29th, I believe, is what what they say. But I don't really count it as that. I mean, I've only, because a lot of those were just like films to kind of like, to teach me how to make movies. So I mean, I only count like 4 or 5 of them.
And which are those?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. But I mean, because I count different ones for different reasons. So it's all just kind of like these different chapters in my life.
Okay, well, we can get back to that or not.
But I guess with Country Gold, it's like, I mean, it's kind of a successor to Alien, the Elvis movie we made in 2017. It's kind of like the sequel to it to a degree. So, I'd have to count that one, and then I'd have to count the last 3, Climate and Strike Your Mistress and Agnes. Then there's like some more before that, like T-Rex, that's pretty good. I don't know. Maybe I've got a good like 6 or 7 in me that I can claim.
Well, that's more than most, certainly. I guess next question is Country Gold. It's a sort of biopic kind of feel. It's about a chapter in this country singer's life, set in 1994. I was wondering if you might explain the hopes and inspiration for having a film. It's 2022. You probably started working on this full tilt in the past few years or so, but to have something set in that year in that particular country music milieu, what was your motivation for that?
Well, it was really, the motivation was just to get, the image of Garth Brooks in a movie, because we haven't seen that yet. And, it's just kind of playing with, like, American mythology and American iconography, like, kind of what we're used to seeing, the familiarity of it, like, just, and which is the whole kind of premise of these movies. The first one was, Elvis. You look at Elvis, you know who Elvis is. The same way you look at Marilyn Monroe, you know who Marilyn Monroe is. Or Andy Warhol or Jesus or something like these people. These images, like kind of like they bring up like a feeling, and that was kind of the idea of, just to visually explore what Garth Brooks is, who he is as a person or who he is as a character.
Now, from the fact that you made a movie about his image, I presume you're a fan of Garth Brooks.
No.
Oh, I presume incorrectly.
Wasn't a fan of Elvis either. Wasn't a fan of Garth. Why
did you want to explore on that? Beyond, because you mentioned the iconography.
I just like I like the look. I think the look, it carries with it a memory. So, no, like, I wasn't a fan of Elvis, wasn't a fan of Garth. I wouldn't want to do one on somebody that I'm a fan of. I would never make like a Nirvana biopic or something,
Well, that probably
because I like Nirvana. Like I don't want to fuck that up.
So, seeing as you pursue exploration of icons you don't particularly care for, perhaps you might help us look briefly into the future. Do you have any other impending targets on your hit list here, or?
Michael Jackson, maybe. Andy Warhol has been, but I like Andy Warhol, so that's kind of like rules him out. Jesus, I don't know. I've had some discussions about Ric Flair, but I'm not sure that he's like iconic enough. I think like Hulk Hogan might be the better bet on that. Also, I think they are making a Hulk Hogan movie, so they always talk about making these movies. They never make them. And I always get really excited. I'm like, I've heard about this Hulk Hogan movie. I'm very excited about it with like Thor, Chris Hemsworth like playing Hulk Hogan. I'm like, that sounds great. I want to see that movie. But is it ever going to get made? Probably not. They were supposed to have a Steve McQueen movie with Jeremy Renner. I haven't seen that either. Anyway, I love this shit. But even in these biopics, when they're actually trying to be accurate, like a Walk the Line or a Ray, when they're actually trying to be accurate, they're still making up the dialogue. There's no way anyone knows what was said in those rooms in those times. So this is just taking it one step further and just making up a whole other scenario.
Yeah, no, I can see that. The only one, because I know another recent biopic actually having to do with Elvis is Baz Luhrmann's
and it's fucking great.
Extravaganza, which one of our old reviewers came out of the woodwork to come out and defend that film, which I had mostly read detracting reviews.
I thought it was fantastic.
But there's a certain floor of quality and expectable tone that you're going to get with any Baz Luhrmann feature. So if you walk in and you know what you're going to get because he is who he is and he has the skill sets that he's got. And you mentioned earlier about learning to make movies. You've been making them for quite a while now, and you've made a whole bunch of, as anyone will say, varying levels of interest and quality. How is it you go about making them so quickly? Because you do have a lot under your belt, and that even in quote simpler scenarios like series of rooms, dialogue heavy and so on, there's still a lot of time required as a sort of general rule. I was curious about your means for speed.
Well, I guess the easy answer is that I don't strive for perfection, but also I still just love it. I still just love to do it. So it's kind of like an addiction. It's probably unhealthy to want to do it all the time, to constantly want to shoot. I love the process. I love the process of all of it. Pre-production. I even like raising money. Like all the stuff other filmmakers say.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard that.
Yeah, I love it. I love just like gestating on a project and like getting a project going and then seeing it to fruition. I love the shooting, of course. I love that. I love like spending 3 weeks or so like shooting a movie, and then I love the editing, and then I love all the process after that. I don't know. I just love it. Kind of like I was born to do it. So it doesn't seem like I make it enough. Honestly, I wish I could make 2 a year.
Well, I guess I'll ask quickly then, is there any part you don't particularly care for? But I'm not optimistic about a response to that, since you've just covered pretty much every step of the process that I'm aware of.
I don't know. I used to like it a lot when I was younger. I'm not as fond of acting as I used to be, of myself acting. Like this scenario was just like it was for practical reasons, but also I looked like Garth, and I looked like Garth in the way that would be next to Ben Hall, the gentleman who played George Jones. Like some of the other people we were looking at for Garth were bigger than Ben Hall. So it was like, well, that doesn't work. George Jones can't be smaller than Garth Brooks,
Now, Ben Hall, glad you mentioned him. He has been in at least your last 3 features. How did you come across him, and what keeps you coming back to involving him in your stories?
Well, we were introduced via a friend in town who's also a director, and he'd been working with him. And he was just kind of like, you two should work together. I'd like to see the results of that. And then after that, I kind of stole him from him. So he just became, my guy. I don't know. It was kind of like the missing link of what I always needed, Him and, Mary Buss. I've been working with her for a little bit. She was the lead in Strike Your Mistress, and She has a big part in Arrows of Outrageous Fortune, and then she's the other sister in Climate. So there's Ginger Gill Martin, the redhead, and then she's Elizabeth, the other sister. And she's also the Mother Superior in Agnes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She has a real brief role in Country Gold. But so we did. So I'd been working with her a little bit, and I was like, man, this is easy. Like these, she's like a theater actress. I'm like, this makes it so much easier for me. So then whenever I got Ben was also a theater actor, and I was just like, I kind of already had a little experience working with theater actors. And when I say that, like, just, it's not like it was harder or anything. It was easier working with theater actors, I felt. So I was all on board with Ben. And so that's kind of what Ben brought. And then, but then, Ben has like he has a cinematic quality as well that he brings that is just like, kind of unmatched. He just kind of like ups the production value just by being in the frame.
Yeah, I'd say there's a sort of, I don't know, I think of movies from the 1970s every time I see him on screen, and a lot of that has to do with Climate of the Hunter and the overall tone of that as the sort of, I wouldn't really call it a period piece per se, but there are a lot of stylistic touches that I recall from, like, I was thinking, what's the word? Like Masterpiece Theater kind of productions.
Yeah,
that, from the late 70s through the mid 80s, that kind of atmosphere with Climate of the Hunter. Whereas in Country Gold, one of the things that struck me the most was in this 1994 set kind of biopic thing about a country music singer, the incredible noir feeling I got from it, and not just because it was in black and white, but a lot of the kinds of shots, the intimacy between two people talking, the surrounding dingy milieu that just sort of really felt like a late 40s or 50s kind of B-movie noir. Was that at all intentional, or am I perhaps reading a bit into it because of my own predisposition?
Well, no. I mean, it's supposed to look like a classic film. In that when you watch Raging Bull, like every shot looks like it's out of like a 50s Life magazine or something. So that was kind of the goal, actually. And I know that it makes no sense within a 1994 movie, but I don't care. I wanted to make because you know what I mean. I'm trying to take 1994 like Garth Brooks. It's not about the time period. It's about just creating this kind of like classic film with Garth Brooks in it. You know what I mean, at the center of it. And almost like where it doesn't matter what the time is. It's all just American. Of decades past, or it could be 70s, 80s, 90s. It doesn't matter. It's all just kind of all-encompassing. But what's interesting about that is we got so we shot it in black and white. So we lit for black and white because the monitor. We're looking at the monitor and it's black and white. When we went to color it, we took one half of. So the screen, like the monitor, would have one half would be Country Gold, and then one half would be The Last Picture Show. So the colorist Jack Caswell matched it to look exactly like The Last Picture Show.
That's really cool. There's a character I quite liked, and unfortunately can't remember his name. The fella with the revolver.
Tuno,
played
by Joe Kappa.
Joe Kappa is Tuno. That guy was fascinating.
He's
to me.
really funny, huh?
And a funny character, definitely. And interesting enough, even for you, obviously with an anecdotal movie like Country Gold there are a number of little sort of side tracks. There's the 2 mini movies about George Jones's possible pasts, that he recounts to Troil? Is that the...
Yeah, Troil.
Oh, okay. Never heard that name until this movie. But,
well, that's Garth Brooks' real name.
Oh, well, see, I know nothing about Garth Brooks.
Troil Garth Brooks.
Oh, okay. So anyhow, there's only one other character who gets his own little side experience, and that's the fellow that Joe Kappa plays. What?
Yeah.
And I hate to sound amateurishly vague with this, but what's up with that character?
That specific situation?
Like that, like he's obviously a hanger-on with George Jones.
Yeah.
He's a drug provider, so like his presence in the milieu, it makes sense. It's okay. This is a guy that's just always around.
Mm-hmm.
But he also has his own little side movie on
Okay. So what's happening there is that he sees another version of himself, and then we follow that version of himself, and also he's just a completely different, just a completely different kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
Just a guy that hangs out with his mom and talks about, installing an antenna with her. But the idea behind that is that we are in an alternate reality, and so within that alternate reality, there's another alternate reality and another alternate reality, and he kind of like, and then later on when he's talking about the Star Trek stuff, well, he's also, talking about the movie, he's talking about the show Star Trek, but how it relates to Country Gold, and that world that they're in is that he's speaking of like alternate realities. So like, and he's also talking about like two different characters playing, or one actor playing two different characters. So, all right, well, you also have the gentleman in the little story, the Mexican who gets shot. Well, he's also the same gentleman who in the FBI scene. So the same actor in the same scene, and then we have the security guard who also pops up again as the like drag queen.
Oh, okay,
who gives
like
him
okay.
So these actors playing the same parts because we're all it's within this kind of like alternate reality setting, which is all explained in that Star Trek monologue.
So when you do watch this, pay particular attention to that, and everything will be absolutely.
Well, it's not necessarily that no one's going to be able to just like straight pick up on that the first time they watch it, I think, but I mean like it's there. It's there.
Yeah.
It's not just completely like out of left field and makes no sense and just put in there for no reason. Like it's all of the information is actually there to have something to lean on, but still ambiguous.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because I hate that shit. I hate it whenever like it's just like whenever a director comes and demystifies the movie and just like explains everything, and then you're like, oh well, it's not as cool anymore. I liked it better when it was like ambiguous and up to interpretation.
Oh, definitely. That's our bread and butter at 366 is we embrace ambiguity in films, which is, one reason why we've been sort of following you these past few years to see what has been going on. And I personally was absolutely thrilled to finally see you have made Country Gold, because it picked up a lot of things that I had liked about your previous two feature films, and actually put them all together with, as you mentioned before we started recording, that you kind of let yourself have fun with this movie.
Yeah.
Were there special circumstances for this production that you were allowed to do that, or was it just?
Oh yeah, well, I raised all the money. Oh. Like I wasn't, and just got small increments of money from each person, so there's not like a huge risk involved. Mm-hmm. I think other times, like when you're getting like a lot of money from somebody, they want some say or something, and I'm kind of like, I wanted to be unrestrained in this one.
Well, I definitely think you indulged that to a perfect level.
Man, I cut a lot of stuff out too.
Well,
like whenever they're in the bar and it just kind of shows a little bit of those vignettes of other people talking.
Yeah.
Well, we shot a whole day of like Nashville, like a Robert Altman kind of stuff, of just like going off with all these characters, and I was just like, damn, it slows the movie down. I guess I better cut it out.
Is that a kind of thing we might see in future release on?
Yeah, like a little like a special features. Maybe.
Because I know. Plenty of people, even outside the weird cinema community, enjoy those kinds of vignettes, which is, there's Country Gold is really one story and largely sits within the a narrative construct as one story, but it does make that time for the various little side things and little peeks at
side adventures
at others' lives. One side adventure that stuck in my mind, which I imagine ties in with the parallel realities, going back to the drag queen in the bathroom, and their exchange with Troy Brooks of that wand. One passes to the other in the form of the eyeliner.
The eyeliner, yeah.
That, I got a kind of new wave music vibe from that. Obviously, you have just mentioned you don't want to explain too much, but if you
I think that
remarks on
that one's that's self-explanatory. That's Chris Gaines.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to throw Chris Gaines into a Garth Brooks movie. Like, if we didn't do that, then what's the point in making the movie?
Oh, no. You must forgive my ignorance here, because I kind of walked into that knowing virtually nothing about country, certainly, despite the fact that
Do you not know the Chris Gaines thing?
It is a name I know I've heard.
Okay, Garth Brooks, so he decided he wanted to, do like an alternate version of himself and start this like rock project, but it's garbage music. It was like kind of like soft rock. It wasn't even good. And he had like black hair. Well, he looked just like just like I did in the movie, like this kind of like black long hair, and then like this little black like little soul patch, and it was ridiculous. And he wanted to make a movie like the life of Chris Gaines. I think the movie was going to be called The Lamb. The Lamb, yeah, The Lamb. Okay, I'm pretty sure I have that right.
Okay, well.
Anyway, so he was going to make this movie, and he was going to, play Chris Gaines, and it's just like this life of a rock star, like kind of deal. So that's what he made the album for, and then made the music for, because he was like preparing for this role that he was going to do. And I'm pretty sure his people were just like, dude, you got to stop with this Chris Gaines shit, like stop. So that was like, so I knew making a Garth Brooks movie, I didn't want to just, let's make fun of Garth Brooks and let's have Chris Gaines in there and, do all of the kind of low-hanging fruit that would be in a Garth Brooks movie. But I knew I had to address it somewhere. And so, that's the situation. It just kind of like shows a flash of like what he could be, like, and kind of like getting that eyeliner and looking at it and realizing like what could be, but then back to reality. Or back to the alternate reality.
Well, even with my complete ignorance, there is an enjoyable little foray into a hypothetical.
For some reason, I feel like that. I feel like when people talk to me about the Garth Brooks movie, that they just are like expecting this Chris Gaines or knowing like this Chris Gaines and their stuff. So, no, I didn't mean to like sound like I was just like, what, you don't know about Chris Gaines, but.
No. Trust you me, I'm not offended. I resigned myself years and years ago that there's too much for me to know.
There's too much.
My list of you haven't seen this movie from any number of people I've talked to is absolutely like, no, I haven't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can name dozens you haven't even heard of.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
No, certainly no worries on my part about that. And I guess while we're talking about the pleasant eccentricities of this, the animated put-down about the steak, is that a real Oklahoma phenomenon to enjoy one's steak that way?
What, medium rare?
Well, I heard Oklahoma likes it well done.
I don't know. My parents eat them well done.
Because it's...
I mean, it's disgusting to me, but... I know my parents eat them well done. They're the only ones I know, really.
Oh, okay. Because it seemed like a firmly established Midwestern, Southwestern put down between Oklahoma and everyone else having their steak the proper way.
It could be
2 to 3 minutes on the grill.
It could be, but I live in a bubble. I hang out with the same people and you know what I mean. I don't get out much.
Any particular reason why that was animated, or just more of the fun time? Ambition?
So Joe, the actor who played Juno that we discussed earlier, so he does animation, and he's really not an actor. I just like think he's funny, and I was like, come be in this movie. I got a fun role for you. Let's do it. Because we were gonna shoot. That's right, because we were gonna shoot that, and then I was like, you know what, Joe, you want to just animate this part? That'd be cool. So it was just an idea.
Oh no, that's not, that's probably the best answer I could have wanted. Because so much. I like creative types when they follow their whims, because that's what you guys are supposed to do.
That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's your job. Let's see, speaking of your job, I believe you mentioned, or it was mentioned, you had another thing. What's the next project for you in the pipeline, if you can talk a bit about that?
It's called The Cool Tinner. I'll give you the log line. In a vaguely dystopian future, a retired widow weds an unstable jazz enthusiast who becomes obsessed with avenging her late husband's death.
Okay.
The Cool Tinner.
Cool tenor. And has that started? Is that impending, or? Well, you work so fast.
Well, the
this
script
will
has
probably be
been
a couple months anyway.
The script has been written. We're casting right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to see more of your good buddy Ben Hall.
I hope so. We'll see.
And I'm going to guess you're going to do everything you can not to be in it.
I am not going to be in it. No, I don't. No, I did this one. This is it.
This is your
It's my swan song. No, I'll act in other people's movies. I'll ruin other people's movies, but I'm not going to do it to my
Oh,
own.
you were fantastic. You definitely had. It was only about halfway through, and I think I first heard your character referred to as Mr. Brooks, that I finally was like, oh, okay, that's why I recognize the hat, the genre, and get up.
Yeah.
Because it was only then I was like, 94. Okay, this is about Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
You know, further illustrates just how, without any preconceptions, I was walking into this.
Oh, that's great.
But you definitely played the wholesome, good old boy, as your character describes himself a lot, just like real pristine, swell guy, right up until I guess the sort of denouement bit where I found the sort of wrap up scenes after his night with his legend hero,
right,
now friend. I was like, oh, okay, there's been a slight, but only the tiniest of little turns, because it's like he can't shake who he is.
Yeah, he's still back to being Joel Brooks.
But he's making these odd efforts to sort of try to be kind of badass, sort of, in a really wholesome, half-assed kind of way.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a nice cap to that. It was like, you have this fella, he meets a legend, he goes through disillusionment, acceptance, so on, has the first probably wild night ever in his life. And so a more traditional take on that might be, well, this guy's going to start going, downhill. It's like, no, he can't.
He's going to shape up, yeah.
This Troy Brooks is just...
He's still an asshole after that.
No, I'm going to describe him as, I don't know, definitely very self-conscious.
Yeah.
Asshole, I'd say a bit less, because he just seemed to me to really want to be liked, but not in the same way George Jones, who I guess wanted to be liked and gave up at some point, but still didn't give up. So, a lot of, the interplay between those two generations, I think, was in a broader sense than country western music, since I could not speak on that, obviously, in any capacity, just in the sort of general sense of fame.
Yeah, well, I think some folks are scared to watch it because they're just like, I don't know anything about country music, or I'm not into country music, and it's like, there's no country music. It's not even about that. It's just these characters.
Take it from me. Don't be scared to watch it. I think there is maybe a minute-ish of country music with Troy singing through the massage chair. Face pillow.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's it's peopled with a certain type of eccentric from a particular part of the world.
Sure.
But it's a pretty big part of the world. Certainly any American audience, I think, will be able to latch into something somehow. And even if you don't, the menagerie of characters you've assembled here is just absolute pleasure for... I don't know what feedback you've gotten from people who are familiar with the country music scene at all, but certainly from someone utterly unfamiliar with it, it was quite a joy to just observe this this array of personalities there.
Yeah, well, I think people expecting to have any kind of historical accuracy or or anything of just like, oh, country music, I love that. Then they go see it and just like, Well, you didn't even have any country music in it.
Yeah, well, in their defense, you do slap the word country
I mean,
right
it
there,
is-
and then you put the word gold, which, you know, has
Right
FM
there.
associations, AM associations, and of course records, you know, sales, you know, kind of thing. So,
Yeah, I guess I'm still kind of into tricking people a little bit.
oh, that's all right.
Yeah. Just get him in the theater and be like, ah.
It's the gotcha director. Yeah, I guess I didn't watch trailers for Climate of the Hunter or Agnes, so those were kind of, you know,
fresh.
yeah, sight unseen, and the synopses provided here at Fantasia are such a mixed blessing, because sometimes they'll err on the side of giving away maybe the hook or a twist or something, and other times they'll be so vague it's like you could be talking about any movie
Yeah.
here. And, you know, I think they did yours a service with capturing the tone you had, although they did seem to make it sound a little darker than I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, I've seen some very, very, very dark things.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I see the word dark,
Right.
I can immediately dive toward probably
Well, I
greater
think I
extreme
mean I
than
think
most.
it's there's still like a kind of an uneasy feeling.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
there's
like
a-
throughout.
I'd say there's a tension. There's
Mm-hmm.
you know,
When
various
we
types of
did
tensions.
when we showed it, so when we showed this for like a cast and crew, like friends and family screening in town before this, and that's the only other audience that I watched it with. But that's a pretty biased audience, so of course they loved it. And
I was going
cracking
to say,
up the
did
whole
any of
time.
them say, "Hey, you know,
I think-
Mickey"?
yeah, I wouldn't send this one to Fantasia. No, but so I put some trailers at the beginning of it. So the trailers were The Last Picture Show,
Mhm.
Tender Mercies, and Eraserhead. And I think those three just kind of like sum up like the experience you're about to get into.
Yeah, I'm going to say that might be the first time those three trailers have ever hung out together.
Yeah.
So it's no, obviously you would know how to sell the spirit of this particular film, and that's that's a good, it could be a nice cap to a quadruple feature there.
Yeah.
With those three in, round off with the new exciting fun country gold experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow, that's fantastic. It seems as good a note to end on as any. So thank you very much, Mickey Reece, for being able to chat with me in this abandoned section of the bar.
Hey, this worked out.
Yeah, I'm glad no one came up here to shoo us away.
kick us
'cause
out, yeah.
We're in reach of hundreds of dollars of liquor that's unsupervised. So, but good people like ourselves resist. So anyway, thanks again, and good luck to you with your flight this afternoon.
Yep.
to
Get on the shuttle at 2, so in like 30 minutes.
Okay, and I gotta hoof it elsewhere. So excellent.
Cool. Well, it was a real pleasure.
Thanks again.